Hello, I'm Chris Verro with the BBC News. The acting Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, has declared victory after a snap parliamentary election that was called to defuse a crisis over an ill-fated war with Azerbaijan. Viv Marsh reports.
Mr Pashinyan made a video address on social media in the early hours of Monday with less than half of the results declared. He described the outcome of the vote as a steel revolution. The opposition bloc, led by the former Armenian President Robert Kocharyan, has already challenged his claim. It said there was evidence of electoral fraud. The statements offer little hope of an end to Armenia's political turmoil, which began when it lost a brief war with Azerbaijan over the territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. As counting continues, Mr Pashinyan's civil contract party has maintained a significant lead.
Voters in France have delivered a rebuff to both President Macron and his far-right rival Marine Le Pen in the first round of regional elections. Mrs Le Pen's National Rally Party failed to make its predicted big gains, while the president's centrist party is at risk of dropping below the 10% threshold needed to take part in the second round. Early results put the main centre-right party, the Republicans, in front with about 27% of the vote. Preliminary figures indicate that just one-third of the electorate turned out to vote. Mexico has extradited to the United States an alleged key figure in the Sinaloa cartel and lieutenant to the jailed drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. This report from Will Leonardo.
Fernando Arellano Romero, also known as El Rayo, has been one of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration's most wanted suspects. He faces drug trafficking charges in Texas. U.S. investigators accuse him of providing security for the transportation of drugs and participating in multiple homicides and kidnappings. He was arrested in 2012 in Ciudad Juarez and has spent years fighting his extradition. His alleged boss, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, is serving a life sentence in the United States. Compared with previous Mexican administrations, President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has increased the number of drug suspects being sent across the border.
Cuba says a coronavirus vaccine it's developed has shown more than 60% efficacy against infections in late-stage trials with 2 doses. The state-run institute which developed the Soberana Dos jab said it hoped this would be even higher when results became available for the recommended 3 doses. Vicente Verez Bencomo, director of Cuba's Finley Institute of Vaccines, said it was a significant result.
This is really a very comforting result, because it was obtained in a scenario where mutant strains are circulating. We're talking about efficacy not against the original strain, but efficacy against the combination of the strains circulating in Havana at this moment.
World News from the BBC. The United States has confirmed that its land and ferry crossings with Canada and Mexico will remain closed to non-essential travel for at least another month. The restrictions have been in place since March last year because of the coronavirus pandemic. They'd been due to expire on Monday. Canada has already extended its own border measures. The Chilean Football Federation has announced it will fine some of its players taking part in the Copa America competition in Brazil for breaking coronavirus restrictions. It follows reports that a local hairdresser was called to the team's hotel in the city of Cuiabá in contravention of bubble rules. Some players had posted on social media while receiving haircuts. The Copa is taking place in Brazil without spectators. The New Zealand weightlifter Laurel Hubbard is set to become the first transgender athlete to compete at the Olympics. The country's Olympic Committee has named her as part of the women's team for the Tokyo Games. Phil Mercer reports from Sydney.
Laurel Hubbard competed in men's events before transitioning in 2012. She'll represent New Zealand at the Tokyo Olympics in the women's super heavyweight category. A team official said gender identity in sport was a highly sensitive issue that required a balance between human rights and fairness on the field of play. Hubbard's selection will disappoint those who believe she has an unfair advantage over her weightlifting rivals.
In the Euro 2020 Men's Football Championships, Wales have become the latest nation to go through to the last 16, despite losing their final group match and having a player sent off. Wales were beaten 1-0 by Italy, who'd already qualified for the next round, along with Belgium and the Netherlands. In Sunday's other results, Turkey are out of the tournament after Switzerland beat them 3-1. And that's the latest. BBC News.